Hi everyone. So in our last presentation session, we covered many topics. The last topic we covered was how you can make use of the command called as expression, EXPR. So the expression command was mainly used in order to apply operations on numerical values. So this is numerical computation using EXPR command. Then we saw how we can compare string, how we can find the length of the string, how we can extract a substring from a given string, how we can locate the position of a character in a given string. So these were the topics we covered till this particular point. So in this particular presentation session, we shall try to start with the looping statements. So in our last session, we also covered the conditional statement. We covered how if will work, simple if else will work. Then we saw how switch case will work. So switch statement will work. So these are the things we covered so far in our presentation sessions. So in this particular presentation session, we shall dedicate ourselves in order to cover the looping statements. So the first looping statement we shall start with is while loop. So how your while loop will work, you already know. You are familiar with many programming languages. So as long as the condition is true, your while loop keeps on executing repeatedly. Once your condition becomes false, then you will come out of the while loop. As you can see here, while condition is true, do execute statements. So that means as long as your condition is getting true, you will keep on executing the statements. Once your condition becomes false, then you will come out of the while loop. This is the actual syntax with respect to while loop. That is what has been stated here. So let us try to understand how we can write a simple shell script in order to make use of your while loop. So this is a shell script where we are printing numbers from 1 to 3, 1 to 3. So as you can see, this is the first line you need to write for any shell script. This is the path where your shell script will be stored. This is the particular path where your shell script will be stored. So initially, I am initializing my variable num equals 1. So I am taking the value of num, that is $num will give me value of num which is 1. As long as that particular value is less than or equal to, this is an operator. So less than or equal to, your operator will begin with minus less than or equal to. As long as your num value is less than or equal to 3, will keep on printing this. Welcome to shell programming. Then num will get incremented. So we saw how we can use EXPR command in order to perform numerical computation. As you can see, now I am performing the numerical computation. Num was 1, now num will become 2. Again, I will go and check on the condition, 2 is less than 3. Again, welcome to shell programming gets printed. Now num was 2, 2 plus 1, 3. Again, I will check the condition, 3 less than or equal to 3, condition true. Welcome to shell program will be printed again. Again, I will check the condition. Again, I will increment 3 plus 1, 4. Now I will check the condition, 4 less than or equal to 3. Condition becomes false. You will come out of the while loop. This is how actually the execution takes place if you are writing while statements inside your shell script. So let us try to understand how your for statement will work when you are using for statement inside your shell script. So we already know how for will work. So we shall try to understand how it can be implemented in shell script. So for can be used to iterate over all items or strings within a list. That means if you are given a list, it contains many number of items. If you want to iterate over all the items present in a list, if you want to iterate over all the items present in a list, then you can make use of the for loop. As you can see here, for all the items, you are taking a variable. So this variable will keep on picking the elements from the list. So as long as it keeps on picking the element, it will execute this set of statements. So once the end of the list is reached, then you will come out of the for loop. So a list consists of a set of items or strings. List ಒಳಗೆ set of strings ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Each item of the list is picked up and assigned to the variable. ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಐಟಮ್ ಪಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ ಗೆ ಅಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. The iteration continues until all the items are picked from the list, or I can say from the array. ಎಲ್ಲ ಐಟಮ್ಸ್ ಪಿಕ್ ಮಾಡುವವರೆಗೂ this for loop will keep on iterating. Let us see a simple example or a simple script to display the elements of an array. I want to display the elements of an array. So first I am writing the path. This is the path where your shell script will be stored. Then print here are the numbers in the list. So this will get printed in your output screen. As you can see, here are the numbers in the list. for variable in. So this is the list. So your list has 6 elements. Your list has 6 elements. So first the variable var will take the value 10. So 10 will get assigned to var. So inside your for loop, you are printing the value of var followed by a tab space. So that means now var contains 10. Dollar of var andre variable var enide adradu value kodutte. So 10 print madutte, one tab space kodu. This is a tab space. Space tara kansutte, but it is actually a tab space. So next it will take 20, your variable will take 20, so 20 gets printed, then your variable will take 30, 30 gets printed, then your variable will take 40, 40 gets printed, then your variable will take 50, 50 gets printed, then your variable will take 60, 60 gets printed. There are no more items present in the list. So once the end of the list is reached, then you will come out of the for loop, then the output for your for loop will be as shown below. Here are the numbers in the list: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So this is how you can use your for loop inside a shell script. So now we shall see what are all the different sources from which your for can obtain the data. Your list was one of the source, array was one of the source. So now we shall try to understand from how many different sources your for can obtain the data. So these are the 4 possible source of list from which your for loop can obtain the data. So that means first it can obtain the data from variables. Then it can obtain from command. Then it can obtain data from wildcard. Then it can obtain data from positional parameters. So these are the 4 sources from which your for loop can obtain the data. Let's try to understand how these 4 sources can be used in for loop to obtain data. List from variables. Now we are obtaining the data directly from the variables. So a script to evaluate and display a set of variables using for loop. We are displaying a set of variables. So this is the path where your shell script will be stored /bin/sh. So for the x variable, I am storing dream. For y variable, believe. Z variable, achieve. Then I am obtaining data from the variable. As you can see here, your where variable will first obtain the data from $x. $x, it will give me the value of x variable, which is dream. So now your var will contain dream. So you will come inside the for loop, then you are printing dream followed by a tab space. As you can see, dream followed by a tab space. Again, you will go back to the for loop. Now your var will obtain the value from $y, the value of I believe. So now var will contain believe. Again, you will print believe followed by a tab space. Now your var variable will obtain value from the z variable achieve. So now var will contain achieve. So now you will print achieve followed by a tab space. Again it will go back to the for loop, but there are no more variables present in the list for to assign it to var. So that's why you will come out of the for loop. So this is how you can obtain data for this particular variable from other variables. There are 3 variables. From all these 3 variables, you are obtaining the data and assigning it to var variable. So this is the first source in which you can use your for loop. This is the first source. Let us look at the second source. The second source is list from command substitution. That means you are taking the data from a command. So you are making use of the command. Through that command, you are obtaining the data. So as you can see here, you are using the var variable. Then date is a command. So date command will give me some value. So date command is assigned to var variable. So the output of date command will be assigned to var variable. What will be the output of date command? This will be the output of date command. So that output will be printed. So var variable will contain the output of date command. The value of var variable will be printed by $var followed by a tab space. So here it prints the date. So this is how your for variable can obtain data from even a command. It can obtain data from even a command. So this is the second source. Let us look at the third source. ಮೂರನೇ source ಯಾವುದು? How you can obtain data in the third source. That means you can also make use of wildcards, your meta characters. So far we saw what do you mean by wildcard, what do you mean by meta character. So it is mainly used for matching purposes. So you can make use of those wildcards also as an input for the variable of for loop. The shell can use wildcard for matching file name. Let us see this example. This is a script to print all files with .pdf extension. ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಡಾಟ್ ಪಿ ಡಿ ಎಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ನು ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಫಾರ್ ಲೂಪ್ ಬರೀತೇವೆ. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಡಾಟ್ ಪಿ ಡಿ ಎಫ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಅಂತ ಏನಿದೆ, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಮೆಟಾ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ಎಂಡಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಡಾಟ್ ಪಿ ಡಿ ಎಫ್, those all files will be given as input to file variable. ಈ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ chap1.pdf ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗಿವನ್ ಟು ಫೈಲ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗ್ chap1.pdf ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಸೆಂಡ್ ದ print, then you will send that particular file to print. lp is the command used for sending to print. Then you are sending that particular file to print. Next it will obtain chap2.pdf, that will be assigned to file variable. So printing chap2.pdf anta barutte, that file will be sent for print. Then you will obtain chap3.pdf, that will be assigned to file variable. So you will printing, it will be echoed as printing chap3.pdf. Then chap3.pdf will be sent to printing. So then there are no more PDF files which end with .pdf extension. That's why you will come out of the for loop. So this is how you can obtain input even from wildcard for the variable of for loop. So the last source from which the variable of for loop can obtain the data is positional parameter. So what is your positional parameter? A script to read and display positional parameter using for loop. So we saw the definition of positional parameter. Let us try to go back to positional parameter so that you will get a clear understanding. We saw many positional parameters. So I will go back to positional parameters. So we saw $, $@. See, this is the positional parameters. So $# will hold the number of command line argument. So $0, $1, this will hold the $0 will hold the file name, $1 will hold the first argument, $2 second, $3 third. $* ಏನು hold ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, it will hold all the arguments entered on the command line. $@ also will store all the arguments but with quotes ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. $? ಬಂದು exit status. Okay na? So this you need to remember. These two are major things. $* and $@, these are used to store the arguments. $1, 2, 3 ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು. $? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಕ್ಸಿಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್. 0 ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಮಾಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ, ನಾನ್ 0 ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಎರರ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಗೋ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಿ ಹೌ we can obtain input for the variable of for loop using positional parameters. As you can see here, $* ಅಂದ್ರೆ all the positional parameters ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ positional parameters. So as you can see here, you are executing this program 4.sh by passing 3 positional parameters. So $* ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ABC ಅಂತ 3 ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, all the 3 positional parameters. So first positional parameter A will be assigned to var variable. Then echo $var ಅಂದ್ರೆ A print ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, followed by tab space. Then it will take the second positional parameter which is B, that is assigned to var variable. Then $var ಅಂದ್ರೆ B print ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, followed by tab space. Then it will take the third positional parameter C, that will be assigned to var variable. Then $var ಅಂದ್ರೆ var ಅಲ್ಲಿ variable ಅಲ್ಲಿ C ಇದೆ, so C print ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, followed by tab space. Again it will go back to the tab space, but there are no more positional parameter. C is the last positional parameter, hence where ge ಏನು assign ಆಗಲ್ಲ, therefore you will come out of the for loop. So these are the 4 major sources from which the variable of for loop can obtain the data. So far in this particular presentation session, we saw how we can execute your while loop. So as long as the condition in a while loop is true, your while loop keeps on executing. Once the condition becomes false, you will come out of the while loop. Then we saw how your for loop can get executed. There will be a variable, that variable will be iterated against the list until the end of the list is reached. Then we saw the possible source for the variable of for loop. it can be from variables, it can be from a command, it can be from wildcards, it can also be from the positional parameters. So these are the major things we covered so far in this particular presentation session. So now we shall try to start with set and shift command. So there are remaining 3 topics. So let's try to cover at least set and shift for this particular presentation session. The remaining 2 topics we shall try to cover in the next presentation session. So set and shift command and handling positional parameter set. So what is the usage of your set command? Your set command can be used to assign positional parameters. Now we saw what do you mean by positional parameters. So in the previous example itself, we saw what is positional parameter. Whenever you are executing a program, you are passing some parameters. These parameters are called as positional parameters. Suppose if you want to assign these positional parameters, then you can make use of the set command. So set command can be used to assign positional parameters. So the command can be used for picking individual fields from the output of a program. As you can see here, I am setting 98, 23, 62. So that means now I am assigning positional parameters. $1 becomes 98, $2 becomes 23, $3 becomes 62. So this is how you can assign your positional parameters. Not only you can just give numbers for those positional parameters, you can also assign the output of a command to a positional parameter. So as you can see here, now I am giving the output of date command. So when I echo $, so which contains all the positional parameters, it is printing me the output of date command. This is all the positional parameters. So suppose if I want to obtain individual positional parameters, then I can make use of $2. What will $2 give? November. What will $3 give? 4. What will $6 give? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2017. So this is how you can set even the output of a particular command to a positional parameter. Now there are 6 positional parameters. So all these 6 positional parameters can be obtained individually by mentioning the corresponding number. So $2 will give me November, $3 will give me 4, $6 will give me 2017. If you use $1, it will give Monday. So this is how you can make use of your set command in order to assign the positional parameters. You can assign the positional parameters with numbers, or you can assign the positional parameters with the output of a particular command. Okay. So next we shall try to see what is shift command. So we shall try to wrap up once we understand shift and set. So in our next presentation session, we shall start with the year command. Okay. So shift is a shell built-in command that operates on positional parameters. So this is also a command which will be operating on positional parameter. How this shift command will work? Each time when a shift command is called, it will transfer the positional parameter down by 1. That means your $2 ಏನಿದೆ that becomes $1 left shift ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Your $3 ಏನಿದೆ that becomes $2, your $4 ಏನಿದೆ that becomes $3. So this is how actually the shifting take place. So you are applying the shift command on the positional parameters. Each time when you apply the shift command, the positional parameters gets left shifted. $2 becomes $1, $3 becomes $2, $4 becomes $3, and so on. $5 becomes $4, like that. So we shall try to see one example, then you will get a clearer picture. So $at, echo $at. What does at indicates? It contains all the positional parameters. $star ಮತ್ತೆ $at ಏನಿದೆ, it will contain all the positional parameters. But when you are using $at, you need to use double inverted code. If you are using $star, then there is no need to use double inverted code. That is the only difference. But the output it will give is all the positional parameters. Now I am displaying $1, $2, $3. It will give me Monday, November 4. Okay, na? Now I am using the shift command. What will happen when you use the shift command? It will make $2 become $1. That means $2 November ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, 4 ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಟೈಮ್ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. So now if I print $1, $2, $3, it will print November 4 followed by the time. It won't print Monday because it has been shifted out. Left side ಆಗಿ shift out ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ. Now 2 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿತ್ತು November, now it has become $1 since I use shift once. Suppose if I use shift to 2 andre, it will shift to two places. Now it will shift two places. What will happen now? It will shift two places. So it will shift both November and 4. ಎರಡೂ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆವಾಗ ಈ ಟೈಮ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. This is how you can make use of your shift command. It is mainly operated on the positional parameters. It will shift your positional parameter by one place to the left. If you shift only once, it will print one place to the left by once. If you shift 2, then it will shift 2 times to the left. So this November 4 ಏನಿದೆ, ಎರಡು shift out ಆಗೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? So the last command, the last thing you need to remember with respect to set command is, there is a problem with respect to set command. How to overcome that particular problem? First of all, what is that particular problem? That we need to understand. Then if we understand that particular problem, let's try to see how we can overcome that particular problem. When a set command is used with command substitution, the output of the command may begin with an hyphen. Okay. What they are saying is that you are using a set command for this particular command, ls minus l. What is ls minus l? It is used to list the attributes of a given file. So student.lst anta, this is dot actually, not comma. So if student.lst anta ಏನು file ಇದೆ, for that particular file you are listing the file attributes. So when you list the file attributes, the output you will be getting is minus. This is what is minus? The permissions. So or the type of file. This is actually the type of file, then followed by the permission. So the output you are getting, the first symbol is colon, the hyphen. So your set command, since the first symbol is hyphen, it will be treated as a bad option. So it is considered as a bad option if the output of a set command is hyphen. So to overcome this, what you need to do, andre, immediately after set command, you need to use double hyphen. So if you use double hyphen like this, and if you use this particular ls minus l command, then this hyphen will be treated normally by the set command. Then nimge output proper agi print agutte. So the problem was that whenever you are using ls minus l command to display the attributes of a file, it was starting, the output of the ls minus l command was giving hyphen. The starting of command output was hyphen, but this was problem with respect to set command. That's why what we did, we used double hyphen before just after set command. In such a case, it won't give me any bad option problem. So this is how you can overcome the problem with respect to the hyphen one. So in this particular presentation session, we covered while statement, then later on we covered for statement, then later on we cover the 4 possible source for the variable of for loop. Then we covered how set command will work. It is used to set your positional parameters. Then we saw how shift will work. It is operated on the positional parameter. It will shift the positional parameter to the left by once. Then we saw the problem with respect to set command and how it can be overcome. So in our next presentation session, we shall cover the remaining 2 topics. Then we shall start with some sample shell script programs. So just watch all your presentation session. This is very much easy topic. This chapter is very much easy then compared to the previous 2 chapters. So watch it all the presentation session, make notes. So if you are getting any doubts, watch the videos again. Still, if you are not able to understand, then ping me with respect to your doubts, so that your doubts will get clarified. So thank you again.